Right.
Nothing for agenda unless they still have their form.
Okay. Yeah, these are both non-agenda. Okay. So unless there is someone out there with a form that says an agenda item, I'm going to move on and say that there are no comments regarding agenda items. Last call? All right. Moving on. Presentations. The first presentation is the Parent Advisory Committee update. Bethany Gomillion, District Representative. Yes. Come on up. Have a seat, Bethany. Good evening.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, good evening, good evening. Again, I'm Bethany Gomillion, and we had our meeting on the 9th. And I will just start really quickly. This is my first time, so please let me know what other items you would like to hear if you don't hear them. So in the chair report, they started with a celebration that is going to be held April 18th, 2024. And the celebration is of people in the community that you want to recognize, or in the county that you want to recognize, that help people with disabilities. So they're asking for nominations right now. They're being emailed. So they were asking us if we had any nominations for that. The RESA report, we had a gentleman represent, and he was discussing how they are responding to the critical shortage and their initiative with the 2 to 3 year program with students from Wayne State University and Eastern Michigan University. They currently have 90 individuals that they're paying tuition for that, again, is helping with the shortage. That's one of their responses to the critical shortage. And they are also doing this hopefully for the students to fill the role of a teacher. That's the goal. So the coursework should translate directly from school to the classroom. And we had a speaker. His name was Mr. Alvin Millhouse. He was a rehab counselor at the Michigan Rehabilitation Services, and he helps people with disabilities find jobs. So he was just discussing the requirements and how they help individuals overcome disabilities and help them to be where they need to be in life and in their career. And he was just saying how they partner with school districts, but they do individual service. And that was the majority of the meeting, but we also had a young lady, Lisa Marie Bailey, let us know that Wayland School District is in a financial crisis. So she just wanted to know if anyone had any advice or if they could point her in the right direction. So they're trying to get help. And that was the end of the meeting. Our next meeting is going to be January 11th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
We look forward to hearing more from you. We appreciate all that you do for the kids in this district.
Sure, not a problem. Anytime I'm invited.
Mr. Bailey.
Sorry.
Yes.
Your first item there,
Yes.
is recognizing people that work with persons
Yeah,
with disabilities.
I thought of that after.
Can you provide me with a link to that?
I don't have a link, and actually, they didn't discuss if they even had a link for that. I believe that when she was asking for nominations to be sent, it was via email. So I can ask for that email address.
Please.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Anything else?
I think we're good. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. So I'm going to just take a minute
Thank you
and
very much.
explain to the board that our microphones are now wireless. Woohoo. But we need to tap the little speak button right here. So currently you're on mute. If it's red, when you need to speak, just tap it. It'll go green and it should pick you up. Now we don't have all the wires hanging out. Technology is so cool. Anyway, sorry. I get excited about technology. Next presentation, Navigate 360 Parent Resources Update. Jessica Miller, Coordinator of Social Emotional Learning and Student Wellness. Welcome, Jessica.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
I am good. I'm gonna make this quick. And I slammed a coffee, so appreciate you. Okay, so you have to tap the speaker button?
Yes. And
Okay.
when you're green, you're
Thank
good.
you.
Green is good.
Cool. Okay, so this is really brief. I gave a presentation on Thursday to our families at Parent University on how to access this resource, but it was just elementary families. So this is just a brief presentation on how to access the resource for parents. So like if you come in contact with a parent from the district and they're asking about it, hey, this is how you sign in. So here we go. Just briefly, our SEL curriculum and what that looks like in the district now that we're a little bit more established is it looks like, just like I had mentioned before, an SEL assessment at the start, mid, and end of the year. Explicit SEL instruction built into the daily practices and schedules of secondary and elementary throughout the day, and then also have staff lesson guides, family lesson guides, and family resources. So next slide. And just a reminder, those lessons cover the 5 competencies of the Castle 5. I gave you a list of what they could cover. There's also other things in there, such as like vaping and things that I didn't list. But if you have any questions on what is possibly in there, you can make a demo account and you can look and see. Okay. Oh no. Sorry.
We have that. We can sing. Da, na, 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 na,
I promised I would be quick.
It's not your fault.
It's not my fault. Okay, all right. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna log into this website, redfordu.suite360sel.org. You're gonna go to the bottom of the page right there where it says not a member, sign up now. You'll use the code RedfordU, all caps, and then you will follow the prompts to sign up. If families have multiple grades, say I have a 4th grader and a kindergartner or a 1st grader, however, you can multiple select grades and you can go across the spectrum once you log in. So just make sure you select all of the grades, otherwise it won't populate what you need. All of this information, like I said before, is anonymous. I can't see what people view, so people can shop with confidence knowing that what they're viewing is not like seen by the district. So this is what the homepage looks like. We're not going to assign lessons to parents because parents have enough responsibilities. They don't want homework. So what they need to do is go into the Discover tab, which is at the top. It's 3 over. Next slide. Once they're there, all of the grades that they signed up for will pre-populate into that select grades. I signed up for pre-K 12, so I have access to everything. If you feel like maybe your student or is at a different grade level, maybe emotionally or maturity-wise, you can sign up for a different grade. Whatever parents feel like will work for them. I thought he was going to talk to me. Okay. Or if you go back to the slide. Or if they don't want to pick like a selected lesson into the next slide, which we'll go into, they can choose from popular topics. So it might be like managing stress, maybe around like finals time, or how to deal with bullying, diversity in the school, healthy decision making, and stuff like that. So they can, shop. I keep using shop. Okay. Okay. So next one. So once they select the grade, yes. Once they select the grade, it'll pull up just an array of random lessons if they don't go into the identified spot that they were looking through. And this is kind of what it looks like, and they can select from there and follow through, and it's all age appropriate for their student. And that's that. So extra resources is there's a toolkit in there. If people want to like learn a little bit more about how to get to different things, the fundamentals of SEL, and that second one, if people really like to read, is a long document on what social emotional learning is and how it's used in the schools. I've shared this with the board before, but just in case anybody wants to read, that's what that document is. So, questions?
So you shared this at Parent University.
I
So
did.
our elementary parents now
Yes.
have seen how this works. That's phenomenal. Do we have how are we going to get this like sent out to our middle school, high school kids, our parents?
So it was shared with the admin. So the admin had put it in their letters, to my knowledge, and then it's also shared on Facebook. And then Lambert also has this information too, which is our PR firm, and they're going to be pushing it out as well.
Thank you. Are there any other
We'll make
questions?
sure that these resources are also available on our webpage. There's a parent family resources link, and we'll make sure to include a copy of this presentation there, as well as probably a direct link where they can go on and sign up for this.
Awesome.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you. Mr. Bailey?
Ms. Miller, thank you very much for your presentation.
No problem.
But this is a small tangent from your presentation, but it goes back to the previous question I had asked in terms of prepping our staff for situations. The response at that time is we have security to back up if there's some sort of altercation within a school setting. But the question was based on an incident, you may remember, where a 6-year-old shot a teacher.
So just before you go into that, this is not what that is. This is just a tier 1 resource so that parents can feel empowered to help parent their student.
No, I know
Yeah.
that.
So I don't know if I can answer that question or any questions like that right now because we're not covering that subject. If that's
Right.
helpful, yeah.
But when that same child, okay, supposedly prior to that, for another teacher, put that teacher into the hospital, that 6-year-old. So the question that I asked at a previous board meeting was here. Have we given the training to staff to know how to deal with that situation before the backup arrives?
I'm not sure what you're asking, Mr. Bailey, but this is just in regard to Navigate 360 with parents and stuff. I'm sure that we can
Mr.
talk about
Bailey?
this after.
Mr. Bailey, if you want to talk to me about your question afterwards, I'll be happy to try to better understand it so I can get you a response.
Very good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Are there any
Any other
further questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
We appreciate you. All right. Moving on, Future of Learning Council participation, Jason Witt, Superintendent.
Okay, tonight I just wanted to highlight a new opportunity that came our way along with a number of other districts in the state of Michigan. And I guess as a starting point, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Future of Learning Council and what it is. And we as a district are going to be participating in the Future of Learning Council. So I thought it was important to highlight this for the board. And in a nutshell, I had heard about this organization for a while from some different colleagues that are participants and different professional learning opportunities I've had to attend. And we were invited to participate in a session as guests. So myself, Ms. Crenshaw, our Executive Director for Curriculum and Technology, and Mr. Chris Norton had the opportunity to attend a session of the Future Learning Council. It's a Michigan-based organization. We'll highlight it here. But essentially, this is a group that's really taking a look at how we do school, for lack of a better term. Our students, we know, have changed. So the question becomes, if our students have changed significantly, do we not need to at least look and consider whether our traditional model of school is best serving all of our students? This organization is set out to tackle that. It's really an opportunity for us to be exposed to best practices that other districts are doing around the state and successes they're having. So I'll just run through this presentation now. The mission of the Future Learning Council, it's right there. It's to provide a structured environment for Michigan leaders to learn about next generation learning models, share design practices, and gain access to high quality professional learning with other innovative school leaders. Next up, the Future, it's a collaborative network of school leaders from districts around the state focused on designing student-centered learning environments which provide equitable access to all learners. as indicated there. Next up, their drivers are the clear and present need for local superintendents to take back the conversation around systematic change in education in the state of Michigan. Desire to gather like-minded superintendents, and it's actually administrators across the board who are doers of the work, and leveraging the intellectual and management capital in each district to learn and improve the strategies that we're using within our individual districts. The FLC, as you can see here on this next slide, began this effort in 2017 as the Michigan Competency Consortium and was relaunched in 2021 as the Future of Learning Council. The primary mission, again, is to support leaders in the structured environment to learn about next generation learning models. That's been covered. And then from the beginning, Michigan Virtual has been a critical partner to the Future of Learning Council. So that's highlighted there. Next, we have an overview of the FLC, the Future of Learning Council. It started in the 21-22 school year, meeting monthly to provide professional development, conduct site visits at member districts, and build a network of leaders. Then next up, in June 22, the Future of Learning Council received a nonprofit 501c3 status, which created an opportunity to pursue different funding opportunities to support the work of the Future Learning Council. And as of January 2023, and I know there's new members since then other than our district, but the FLC membership had already grown to 40 school districts and within 8 different ISDs and 1 non-school member. Again, on the next slide, you just see that the FLC has continued to grow in membership. In September 23, the Future of Learning Council Board distributed an RFP to national collaborators to design and execute a statewide initiative to implement personalized competency-based learning. And then October 2023, with the support of organizations like Talent First Michigan and Michigan Virtual, the FLC will continue to pursue significant funding to launch a multi-cohort professional development model, focused on every level of transformation of our schools. The next slide just highlights some of the areas around the state that have districts participating in the Future of Learning Council. And then there's a specific list there of districts and ISDs on the next page that are the member districts. I got this presentation earlier from the executive director for the Future of Learning Council. So this list is not even completely 100% up to date as of now, because as of now, for the we actually are now a participant district in this. So we're not listed, and I know there's some other districts that were present at our first meeting that have joined on this fall. So this year, the work of the FLC is focused on expanding their work in support of designing meaningful instructional frameworks and assessment strategies to support districts with their post-pandemic models, coordinating impactful site visits to model schools in Michigan and across the country who are doing a lot of things in competency-based learning, pursue development funding for a proposal to coordinate a statewide effort to support leaders in the transformation of their learning communities, and then also to support a deeper understanding and design of micro schools and development of pathways within traditional school models. And then there's a schedule right here of the coming events. A couple have already passed. The first meeting that Mr. Norton, Ms. Crenshaw, and I attended was that school year kickoff on September 27th. So we participated in that event. We did have some representatives from the district attend the October 18th full-day workshop with the new tech network, although some other people in the district were at another professional learning opportunity that week. We have people planning to go to these upcoming sessions that are identified. And again, this is not only an organization that I try to attend some of these sessions and will continue to going forward, but again, Mr. Norton, Ms. Crenshaw, we're encouraging some of our principals to attend depending on the topics. We're having our best practice instructional coaches attend these sessions coming up. And so it was an opportunity tonight to just present this information to the board and to let them know a little bit about what we are doing. One question you might have is, how much is participation in the Future Learning Council? So I'll just take care of that one right now. This membership for this year, I believe it was $2,500 to have access to all these professional development opportunities for as many people as we want to send to these sessions. And again, it's a very worthwhile effort as we continue to look. Again, we talk about being tradition-rich and future-focused, and we've talked about some of our academic outcomes before and things we can begin doing to try to improve some of these academic outcomes. And I think part of that, like I stated at the beginning, is considering exactly whether the traditional way where you've done school for years and years is still as effective with today's students as other instructional approaches. And this was the most cost-effective way for us to learn from others into what they're doing right now and having success with in their districts, so we can foster further discussions within our district about other things that we might need to consider going forward. So I wanted to highlight this participation for the benefit of the board and for all those in attendance this evening.
Thank you,
Chair.
Mr. Bailey.
So these events and things like this, are these in-state?
There's opportunities here that are in-state. There's opportunities to visit school districts outside of the state. That list on the last page is not an exhaustive list of all the opportunities that will come our way this school year by virtue of being a participant in this program. For example, in a couple weeks, Mr. Norton and a couple others from the district are have an opportunity to attend, to head out for a full morning. So about, I think the day starts at 8:30 or 9 o'clock with a visit to Dexter Community Schools to take a look at some of the things that they're doing in Dexter Community Schools within this general area, and to be exposed to some of their modernized classrooms, some of the things they're doing from a project-based learning aspect and everything else. So there are a lot of local in-state opportunities, but some of the opportunities that present themselves may also be outside of the state. Whether we would attend those or not will be a consideration based on our available funding and things like that. And quite honestly, how valuable that particular topic might be for some of our conversations going forward.
And the board be kept abreast of the opportunities that are available?
Sure, that's one of the reasons why I shared this information tonight. But we can certainly make you aware of what some of the things we even take out of some of these sessions.
Yeah,
Very good, thank you.
that would be really interesting to hear, like, what you learn, at them, because then we know.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
do an update later in the school year, and
Yeah,
that's another
absolutely.
reason why I also am encouraging different, whether it be different building administrators, different district-wide administrators, depending on the topic, and even other staff on the front lines, providing and encouraging them to attend some of these sessions, because I think we need to get exposed to some of the things that are going on in some other districts that we might be able to adapt and adopt in some fashion as we continue to have discussions going forward.
Absolutely. I agree. I think the more we learn, right, the more we know, the better off we are, and the more we can improve. I mean, I hope we're learning every day, right? I try to learn something every day, so I love the fact that there's even bigger opportunity to get professional development outside of what we provide as a district. Are there any further questions?
To the chair, I
Ms.
just
Miller.
wanted to commend Mr. Witt and the community for implementing this program, at least taking one step forward. So what I heard was that you plan to implement best practices and strategies that you learned from the different schools.
Yeah, honestly, so we have this building transformation going on through this bond project, and it's been outstanding to see, like, aesthetically what those things have done for our buildings. But we're also at the same time trying to see how we can use these new facilities in different ways to promote better academic outcomes for our students and better experiences for our students. And honestly, part of this is coming out of the pandemic. We know there still exists a big learning gap, not exclusively by any means in Redford Union Schools, but all across the state of Michigan and all across the nation. And then we also understand that at least in what percentage it is, I can't sit here and say right now, but a percentage of our students don't learn the same way that I did when I went to school. And when I was in high school or junior high or even elementary. So the question is, if we're not seeing some of the outcomes that we want to see, and it's not that there's not a certain percentage of students that probably still might honestly learn best in the more traditional approach, there's also some percentage, and it's probably bigger than we'd like to admit, that we need to potentially rethink school for. Like, how do we reach all of our students and their different needs? One of those ways that falls under some of the work that they're doing, to use a very general example, is there are students who at the end of a unit that they have in one of their high school classes may not be able to sit down and take a written test or even a multiple choice test, might not be the best way that they can impart that they learn the material. Some of them might do better by if they were asked to be given a project that they could do to display that they learn the material. So there are districts out there that are doing, and I'm not going to say, some of our teachers do offer project-based assessments. But there are probably far more students that would benefit from project-based assessments, at least in some courses, than teachers who are offering it currently.
I agree.
But part of that is, we need to learn more about doing project-based learning and what that looks like. And there are some districts around this state that, quite honestly, are well ahead of us when it comes to project-based assessments and opportunities. And what the classrooms where you're doing those type of things, what those classrooms look like. They don't always look like rows of chairs and desks. They look differently.
They do.
And we need to get out there and expose our administrators. We need to expose the people that help, like Mr. Norton, who works on teaching and learning, works directly with those best practice instructional coaches, who in turn work directly with our teachers. And we need to expose all of them to these different opportunities so we can come back and have more informed discussions about what we might need to do to help reach more and more of our students.
Yeah, I want to commend you just stepping out, taking that chance, and embracing change. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And keep us informed
Yes,
on what you guys learn. Thank you.
All right. Moving on, student representative communication.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Alicia Jeswick, and I'll be talking about some student body organizations. First, I'll be talking about the Link Crew. Link Crew is to help ninth graders from high achieving upperclassmen. One of our main focuses right now is a small group intervention, which is when a mentor helps a struggling ninth grader to help improve their grades and navigate high school. We also like to thank our staff, so we will be doing thank you cards on this upcoming Wednesday. We also provide tournaments to help gather all ninth graders together and help show that school isn't just all seriousness. Sorry. In the past, we have done a Uno tournament, and December 13th, I believe, we will be doing an Xbox tournament.
Sweet.
Student Council is doing a blood drive December 13th, and we are looking into a food and toy drive sometime in the next 2 months, I believe, as well as the National Honor Society. Candygrams are being passed out this week, and then Women of Tomorrow is a program that we started last year, and this year that we have gained over, I believe, 5 new females, making it a total of 20 females ranging from freshmen to juniors. Our choir team has recently went to Oxford, Michigan, where they performed in front of judges and got rated out of 30 stars. Our school rated around 25 stars. There were 4 contestants who were nominated to do an all-star musical theater ensemble: Darren Tavaletti, Omri Jackson, Jacob Lillard, Juliana Kuhani. And one of the many things I'm very happy to announce is the auditorium opening up later this week.
Okay, very good. We love that.
We're so excited.
Good job.
Thank you. I love an Uno tournament. I'm all about those draw fours, girl. We play Uno in our family. It gets a little ugly. I'm just saying. We appreciate those updates, and we appreciate like things that are like giving back to our community. I love that you want to do food drive and blood drive and toy drives, because the reality is this: if we watch the news every day, we know there's people are struggling, right? I mean, it's real out there right now. So that's fabulous. All right, moving on. Superintendent's communications, Mr. Witt.
So tonight, I just want to highlight the staff members of the month. And this is for the nominations that came forward for the month of October 2023. And these are the proud recipients of a very nice parking spot outside each of their buildings.
Do we have 2 here now?
Yes, we do. And that, in fact, that was Miles had to jump right on that.
We know.
But we do have 2 spots identified out there at the secondary campus. So we have Miss Judy Nachman, Executive Director of HR and Labor Relations for Keeler Administration. We have Regina Bazin, Secretary at Beck. We have Deanna Stotch, Secretary at Beach. Gabe Greasy, 5th grade teacher at Hilbert Elementary School. Shelley Albright, Educational Assistant in our Day Treatment Program. Michelle Sieber, Best Practices Coach at the Redford Union Junior High School. And then Kelly Carlton, Special Education Teacher at Redford Union High School.
Yeah.
So congratulations to them. Then one of the highlights, of course, of every board meeting, our November board brag book is in front of you tonight. And at some point tomorrow, I know this information also will be shared online. Wanted to start out by highlighting Beach Elementary, but again, it's a joint effort also with Hilbert Elementary. But session 1 of the Parent University took place on October 19th. And we were excited that 29 different adults joined us in a new program partnership that's been highlighted at previous sessions. It's a partnership with Wayne Risa. The families were treated to a catered meal. And then there's some parent learning opportunity as well as activities for our students who were in attendance. We got a lot of positive feedback from that first session, and we're even looking at things we can do already to improve the program based on that feedback. Parent University, some more photos there. Also at Beach Elementary, Safe Schools Week, there were some fire prevention assemblies in a partnership with the Redford Township Fire Department. Came out and shared fire safety tips and gave tours of the fire truck and ambulance. This guy right here has become like the new hero in the district. This is George. George is like the new celebrity.
Get
So
those belly
we
buttons.
not only got Robin Stern to work with us in our Student Services Department, along with Mrs. Dillard, but we also have our therapy dog, George. And so George made a visit to Beach, and there's photos there of the students enjoying that. Also at Beach Elementary School, they had their third annual Trunk or Treat event held on Friday, October 27th. And there's photos there, including the staff getting involved. Some nice photos there from the Trunk or Treat event. Our family's enjoying that event. Also then, that leads us right into Hilbert Elementary with their own Trunk or Treat activity on October 27th. And it was held there in the area adjacent to our current football field. So the evening was well attended, inspired a true sense of Panther pride. There's some more photos there from the Trunk or Treat event, some of our staff members. Also then at Hilbert Elementary School, once again, George. George has been bringing a lot of joy to students around the district, and I'm sure a lot of our staff members too. So there's some more photos there on the next page of George's visit to Hilbert. Redford Union Junior High School, October included a lot of celebrations, including Halloween, Red Ribbon Week, Perfect Attendance Awards, and the October Start Student Awards. There was a parent canteen, the first one of the year on October 20th. And then we'll take a look at some of these photos here from the junior high school.
Mr. Bean. It's Mr. Bean. I could see him being Einstein.
So it looks like Porky Pig made an appearance that day. Also, the high school link crew joined with the 9th grade students to have a very loud Uno tournament. So there you go.
Okay, who won?
No idea. I'm going to be completely honest. I
And-
was doing
and
National Honor
this-
Society tutoring, and then I went over. Somehow the person I was tutoring won. I
think you tutored really well then.
think so too. Thank
Did
you.
an excellent job. So again, also the students were celebrated for having perfect attendance for the first quarter. Those students are highlighted there. So kudos to all those students for having that perfect attendance from the start of school.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
There's some photos there of the link crew with the 9th grade students. Also at the junior high school, they also celebrated the October Star students. These students are nominated by their teachers for being classroom leaders, being on time, being prepared, working as model students every day. So those students are all listed there and highlighted, and kudos to those students for being leaders there at our junior high school. And again, this whole presentation will be put online so we can highlight those students further. And potentially I'll talk even with Lambert about how we can, on a monthly basis, maybe do some things on our social media to also highlight these star students. There's some photos there of some of our October Star students. Next up, at Veritas Alternative Education. Veritas would like to thank Rodnisha Hill and Micah Lambert for their school spirit and hard work. They arranged and promoted the Spirit Week here within the Veritas program. They had Pajama Day, Dress Like the Elderly Day, Anything But a Backpack Day, and 90s Throwback Thursday. It's hard to believe that we're already to the
90s were
point where we're having 90s throwbacks.
That's what I was thinking.
But I guess I'm dating myself, so. It was a fun week that created new friendships and a sense of community. And Veritas would also like to thank Ms. James and Mr. Marable for teaming up to make sure Veritas students could attend college presentations from schools like Western Michigan and Central Michigan. So kudos to those two staff members. We've had a lot of success here within our athletic programs. The one that seemingly gets highlighted a lot is our success of our football team, and they certainly had another successful conference season. But we also wanted to take a minute to highlight our boys cross-country team, who had an outstanding fall season, and we're also conference champions, sweeping all three of the conference jamborees that they hold. And so they had an outstanding season, and those students are pictured there. And then we also wanted to further highlight, we can't get out of this presentation without seeing more of George
More of George.
and his interaction with our students. And again, that's a joint effort between our Student Services Department and our SEL area. And so kudos again, and thanks to George for being a part of our district now. We also wanted to give a thank you to environmental maintenance engineers. This past summer, they had an ice storage unit delivered to Hilbert for use by our students, particularly during marching band camp. And they had the students all the time stocked with bags of ice. And they even restocked it when that ice had melted because of a power outage that we had. So thanks for the generosity and support to our students and our district, to environmental maintenance engineers. And that concludes tonight's board brag book presentation.
Thank you. Yeah. I think George has a pretty good job. He looks like he's loving those belly rubs.
She does have to travel sometimes without George.
Right.
And so.
Yeah. I'm sure.
So also, you have in front of you our calendar of events that also will be posted online. So there's the calendar of events with a number of different things highlighted, starting from tonight, November 13th, and running through January 16th, 2024. So for the sake of time, I will just say that we will make sure, again, to post this resource on our website, and in other ways, make sure this information gets out. But all the different buildings are listed there. We obviously have the Thanksgiving holiday coming up, and many other events as we enter the winter holiday season, all the way through Martin Luther King Jr. Day on January 15th. So those things are highlighted there, and thank you to Jackie for working with the building each month to compile this information together and put it together so we can get it out to our school community.
Oh, fabulous. I just
Yes.
want to ask a question. Kathy, what is the Gratitude Assembly from the World of Music?
We've been working with the band from World of Music, has been going into classes, particularly upper L, to kind of talk to them about ways to calm themselves and how gratitude tells that, taking deep breaths. He's come a couple of different times, and he's going to come and do an assembly for kids on the topic of gratitude.
I love it.
Really fun too.
I love it. Thank you. I was just like, anytime I say music, I'm like interested. Okay. Thank you.
You should come.
Okay. What time? Do you know? I'll email you.
Chair.
Mr. Bailey.
At the Redford Union, thank you, Junior High School, there's a parent club meeting. Where's it located?
It's on Zoom. Yeah, so I can make sure to share the login information.
Could you do that to the board too, please?
Absolutely will.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right. Moving on. Communications received by the board secretary, Mrs. Dean. Yeah. All right. Next up, Chief Financial Officer's Communications, Mr. Beltink.
Thank you. First of all, we wrapped up our audit at the end of October. I think it went really well. It was our first year with our new auditors, Raymond, and there was a little bit of learning curve on both sides. But I think it came across well. I just wanted to go through and highlight real quick. I gave you general fund, special ed, and the other fund analysis, but I like to kind of stick for time-wise on the general fund at a real high level, current year versus prior year, what we're looking at. Dan Merritt will be here in December to review this in detail with you, and I will be getting you out the audit reports first thing in the morning. I'll email them to each of your accounts, or Jackie will, one of the two. So looking at the revenues for the general fund, the major difference in current year versus prior year, we were up. State revenues were up a little over, almost 5.3 million. A lot of that was the retirement. Not retirement yet. So some of it was retirement. 2.7 million of that was the foundation allowance. So here's the funny thing about the retirement. So they gave us an extra 2.4 million in retirement, and then turn around and charge us 2.4 million in retirement. So, in the eyes of the state, that was necessary. So, that's the funny thing. So, if you look at that, and then year over year with the ESSER funds, we had the end of the ESSER 2 funding in the previous fiscal year, and so we had the windfall from that one-time money came in. So that was an offset to some of that state funding. So overall, we were up a little over 750,000. Huge increase in the state and a large decrease in the federal because they asked her to. On the expense side, some of these we knew year over year, your wages are going to go up. The benefits, the majority of that is retirement for the reason I said before. It's offset with the increase in revenue. We did reduce our other costs on the instructional side. So the instructional side is the obviously kind of speaks for itself. Any of the buildings, the elementary, the middle school, high school, and then alternative as well, alternative high school. On the support services, same thing as you would suspect, wages and benefits. On this side, so what you're going to see, and we talked about this previously, hand in hand with our budget, or I'm sorry, with our bond project. We're going through and we're doing certain things on our own as well. Other things are being necessitated because of the bond project. For example, the bus garage, when we redid the parking lot, we had to go through and do some landscaping around the exterior so we could actually get in and do some of that stuff. So there is some maintenance work that we've been doing hand in hand with the bond project. We knew that was coming up, and that was a significant increase. What we should see going on in the future, though, year over year in the future, after we get through the bond, we should see a lot of our maintenance costs decreasing. And then we're able to focus more on the day-to-day aspects of the building. You'll see those costs go down significantly. On the support side, we're seeing more employee contracts with the labor market the way it is. We're having to reach out to outside service providers. Sometimes the costs are even, sometimes they're a little higher. Just kind of depends on the position working for. Speech pathologists are always hard to come by. That's the one that's been getting us the last couple of years.
That actually ties into what Ms. Gomillion was talking about earlier in the meeting. That high needs for staff in those critical shortage areas, that she talked about, special education and those support services.
Yes.
Are most definitely one of those most critically short right now. So that means in some cases, rather than being able to directly hire individuals, we've had to contract with some additional third parties for some of those positions.
Yeah. And then additionally, we've seen increases in our security and our busing costs, which, again, goes hand in hand with the inflation, what's been going on in the economy. We've been, every district across at least in the southeast Michigan area, has seen increasing costs on the busing side as they compete for bus drivers and employees.
Gas.
So that in itself is where we're at with the general fund right now. At that point, I'd like to talk real quick about the head counts.
And just to clarify,
Sure.
in case anybody missed it, the plan is that at the December meeting, the auditor will be here to present the full audit.
I had it right in front of me. Okay, so preliminarily, we're still, these numbers are going to be pretty close. I don't suspect that they're going to change much more than 3 to 5 students one way or the other. We're getting close. We have a few, what do you want to say, conflicts with other districts. We have a student in, they have a student in, just little timing differences there. But if you look year over year, we're pretty flat. If you look at last year we were at 2,381. This year we're at 2,382, almost 383. We were able to increase our shared time program significantly. We added a whole nother school into that program. Year over year, as a district, as a full-time equivalent, we are down about 48 kids. Still up over 2021. So 2021 was coming back from COVID. We were able to pick up, we had a good school of choice year that year. I think 2022 was a bit of a high year, coming down. But the other thing that you need to consider, it's not necessarily, a large part of that is not necessarily losing students. In the trend that all the districts are seeing, as we graduate a senior class at 170 or 175, we're replacing it with a kindergarten class of about 125 to 150. So that's some of it.
So it's just attrition.
Yes. Yep. Some of it is, yes. And I think the big numbers of school of choice, people moving from district to district, I think we've seen kind of the end of that. This is our third year coming back off of COVID, and I think everybody's kind of settled in where they're going to settle in. But again, as Superintendent Witt mentioned before, I think some of the programs we're getting implemented, the newness of the buildings, the bond projects, we're really hoping a lot of that's going to start kicking in, and we can pick up some of those students as we go on in the future. But if we can hold on to where we're at right now, around 2,000 students within the district, and we will continue to grow our shared time program year over year, and we continue to work with our partner on that. So as you look at these numbers, I got notes on the sides. Please keep in mind the high school, we're in a transition year. So the high school lost the ninth graders. The ninth graders went to the middle school. Sixth graders slid down into the elementary schools. And then we changed our K-12 configuration. So I put a little side note down at the bottom where I looked at only at elementary and only at secondary. So, any questions on the enrollment?
Thank you. I remember the days when we were losing hundreds of students a year, so I'm okay with 40. And it's interesting that I just heard on the news that the birth rate in this country is going down because millennials are choosing not to have children. They've just already made that decision. Or B, they're having their children much later in their lives. So like where my generation, we had our kids in our 20s, our kids are now having their kids in their 30s. And so, I can't imagine, I did it in my 30s, it was way harder. But, so I think, given that there's this trend in this country, people just aren't having as many kids as we used to have. And a lot of our kids have said, we're just not doing it,
From
So-
everything I've seen across the state, districts to district, I think we're gaining by holding our own at
Yeah,
this
I
point.
agree.
Yes.
I
If we,
agree.
if we can, like I said, if we can hold that around those 2380, 2400 kids,
Yeah,
we're going to be fine.
yep, I agree.
So-
Chair,
Mr. Bailey?
under shared time, you had mentioned that we have a new school. Do you remember what school that is?
It is, it's St. Thecla. Most of our schools in the shared time are going to be over in the Macomb.
And this one is too?
Yes, correct. I think they were with us before, and they had moved over to Berkeley. Berkeley, so the two big districts in the state of Michigan that do shared time are Brighton, by far and away. They're the biggest. They're huge. There's I think they're like 3,000 kids in their shared time program. And then Berkeley is a distant second, and then everybody else is beyond that. I mean, at almost 400, we have a good sized program.
Who's in charge of that program for Redford Union?
Myself, yes. And then we work with SES, which is an outside company. So they are the ones with the contacts at the parochial schools. And then we work together. They work their side and we work our side.
And then there's a portion of that work that also Mrs. Nachman coordinates on the HR side, because
Yes.
the staff that teach within that program, for the portion they're teaching where we're getting this funding, are considered Redford Union staff.
Correct. We pay them, they're on our program. If they work enough hours in the program, they're eligible for benefits. Ms. Nachman coordinates that, and then Terry Earl works with them on the student count, and we incorporate them into the student count. That's the other big piece. The HR and then the student head count piece. Those are the two huge pieces that fall on us.
Thank you.
All right. Any further questions? All right, hearing none. Moving right along, Executive Director of Human Resources and Labor Relations Communications, Mrs. Nachman.
Hello, just a couple of updates tonight. In September, we talked about all of the new staff we had hired and that we had several first-year teachers joining us. And, we talked about a mentoring program for them. So I'm just going to give a brief update on where we are with some of that. So teachers in their first 3 years of teaching, all teachers are required to do, the district is required to provide 5 days of professional development for all of our staff. New teachers in their first 3 years need to complete 15 additional days of professional development, which equates to about 90 hours of additional learning. The district is not responsible for providing it. It is up to the new teacher to seek that opportunity out. However, we are doing this for our teachers, and with Chris Norton helping me, our new teachers will be enrolled in a program through MISD. It is online so that they can do this at home after work hours, not worrying about traveling back and forth. They're starting this year with classroom management. It is a 30-hour course, so they'll take 30 hours of classroom management preparation this year, and then next year, I don't know what we've selected, there's another 30 hours. The mentor teachers are being asked to complete a mentor class where they get skills and strategies to work with the teachers as they're starting out, to get ways to support them. So they are going to be enrolled in that program. And then the last piece is going to involve our building principals, but I haven't talked to them yet, so I really don't want to reveal that tonight for the first time. So
It's
I
coming,
can't
y'all.
say anything. But there will be a component where our building administration will be looking through this course and assisting our new teachers and our mentors, and just making sure that everybody is on track, the work is being completed, and to offer the support to the and the teachers are all in collective bargaining units that are operated basically under the MEA, so Michigan Education Association. And MESA and the MEA are work hand in hand. The MEA provides MESA field representatives. And so basically MESA is the insurance that the MEA recommends. So we knew we couldn't make a change for any of our other units unless it was bargained into the contract, and that is what we decided to do. But Mr. Witt and I talked with Gallagher about the possibility of a small group of us are exempt employees, so those people who are not affiliated with the union, and our administrative team. And although our administrative team is in a union, they are not supported through the MEA. They're just independent group of administrators who get together and they're able to bargain their contract, but they aren't held by negotiating their insurance, basically through their contracts with the MEA. So when we met with Gallagher a couple weeks ago again, they brought us the renewal rates for MESA, and then they also brought us rates for the Western Michigan Health Insurance Pool. And so I'm going to go over that information tonight because the exempt employees and the administrative team did decide that we are going to leave MESA insurance and move to the pool. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about the pool and what they do. So actually, they started back in 2005, a group of 8 districts who wanted to break away from MESA. The rates were high, they wanted to see what else was out there, and so this group of 8 districts formed a committee, and they really just basically got their own insurance. They established their own insurance. It's now 102 school districts are involved with the pool, 43 municipal entities, and 77 community colleges. So the pool is only available for public entities. So this year, just in 2023, to add to this 102 school districts, 14 school districts, including ours, 13 municipal entities, and another community college are joining the pool. So it's really growing, and there's a graph down here. We're going to do that. This is just a chart of districts and entities that are currently receiving their benefits through the pool. It used to be west side of the state. That was who started it in 2005. These districts from the west side of the state. As you can see, it has expanded. And in Wayne County, so Henry Ford College, Lincoln Park Public Schools, Riverview Community School District, Woodhaven Brownstown School District all use the pool, and now a portion of Redford Union.
Garden City's another one.
Yes.
I know of those new members coming on board, and I don't know, there may even be some others in Wayne County.
The city or the school district?
Garden City Public Schools.
So this next graph just shows that for all of these districts that have joined the pool, none of them have left. So every district that the pool has picked up has remained with the pool. And then on the last page, I just gave you some information as to why. So the cost of insurance is continually rising. And it adds just an additional burden to our employees. The employees who are moving to the pool, I'm included in that, everyone at this table, the administrators in this room, we will be saving between $1,100 and $4,000 per year, dependent on the plan that you choose.
It's a lot of money.
The pool doesn't have a group of employees, so there isn't a building that you can go to called the pool and you can ask to speak to someone. The districts are the employees, so each district will have a board member sit on the board for the pool, and that board makes the decisions and determines what rates will be, how we're going to fluctuate, which plans will be offered. We will get support through Gallagher. There are employees that work for Gallagher who are experts shoot for districts who have moved to the pool. They also use a platform called Plan Source where we can enter all of our benefits information in and everything can be managed. There's another site for Mason called eSwift, which I manage that site, and I will just be managing Plan Source for the people who move over there. Another great part of this program is the rate protection. So our rate adjustments will never be more than 3.75 difference than average. So it can fluctuate 3.75 upward or downward depending on the average. And just as an example, some districts last year, their insurance costs increased about 9%. Redford Union got lucky and our insurance didn't go up that much. But next year, they are anticipating a large increase across the board between like 7 and 10% for insurance costs. So we would be able to have some rate control there. Our employees who move to the pool will still be covered under Blue Cross Blue Shield, just as they are now. The deductibles are the same for them as they are with the MESA plans, and they're designed to make changing doctors. They can continue with their same medical team as they have now. Our prescriptions will still be covered through the same. Right now, most of us use Optum RX, which is a mail order, but any pharmacy that currently accepts your insurance will be the same for the pool. And then the last bullet there just says that MESA and the MEA work hand in hand, as I said before. So 5 members of the MESA Board of Directors also make up the executive board of the MEA. So the president of the MEA, the vice president of the MEA, the treasurer of the MEA, the executive director of the MEA, all of these people are also on the MESA board. And actually, the MEA president, about $100,000 of his salary is paid through MESA. So the board of directors receive payment for being on the board for MESA.
They're the
And
union,
that
they're
is
the
cut
Michigan
out
Education
with
Association,
the
they're the
districts
state
of
union.
the board. We don't have a middleman, and so that is where the insurance savings comes in. So we are in the process of moving our staff over to that, our executive employees and our administrative team. And there is an action item tonight for the board because we do have to bring it to you as a resolution for you to approve us moving small fraction of our staff over to. Did I miss anything, Mr. Wood?
No, excellent job.
Oh, Mr. Belton just wanted me to bring up too that the reason for moving, there is no cost savings to the district. The district is a hard cap district, so the amount we pay is the same regardless of which insurance provider we use. The district still pays the same amount. So the only savings are to the employees themselves.
This is employee Redford Valley employees.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mrs. Stockman. Yeah, anytime we can save money, I mean, I know my insurance went up like 9% this year, so. And I was like, okay, I mean, it was only like, $9, but still, it's not, that's 9% of what I was paying, so. All right, moving on. Executive Director of Curriculum and Technology Communications, Mrs. Crenshaw.
I'm good. I can talk loud.
Get her
So,
teacher voice on.
we had talked last month about us giving an update to the comprehensive support and improvement situation we have with the junior high now. Unfortunately, Miss Peterson and I, over the last couple weeks since we met about this, have not had a chance to coordinate our calendars with Miss Snap's calendar. We have a meeting on the calendar now, but it is not until after today. So we would rather make sure that we have a concise presentation that we will present to you next month. We didn't want to come to you and just be throwing things together. We would rather have all of the facts and all of the information in the presentation. So I apologize that that was not ready today, but we will definitely get that to you guys for next month's meeting. The next thing I have on my list here is our NWEA fall data. So I'm reusing the same presentation because I just want to leave some things in here that you guys have seen before, but I want to make sure that we revisit it for any new members and just a refresher for everybody else. So, as a reminder, NWEA is a standardized test that we give to all of our students. It's a electronic test. I'm sure our students all love it and they're cheering the day that that test starts.
You guys aren't right.
But these are the tools that you get, the students can have access to through the test. And these are some other non-embedded test-taking tools that we can also offer to the students, some breaks and whatnot. Come on. Oh, look, I was being all fancy with my transitions. So these are our test scores for this past fall. So this is fall data 2022 to fall data 2023. Now, if you look back at any of those of you that have been on the board for a couple years, and even if you look back at some of the next slides that I'll show you, some of our fall data is not going to match up because our fall data is recalculated based on the students that are here. So their average RIT score is recalculated for last fall, so then we can see what our growth is for the students that are still here to this fall. So I'm happy to report that the majority of our grades all made phenomenal gains here are at least kind of at where they expected them to be for this fall. Our upper grades are soaring there. This is our math data. Oh, and look, I totally wrote the wrong numbers there at the bottom. I apologize. That's fall 22 to fall 23. I was moving myself to the future. Sorry about that. I'm rushing life along. I'm sorry. I don't try to do that because I'm too old for that. This is our language arts data, and this I do have the right numbers on for the fall 22 to the spring of, oh, no, it's not even, because this isn't to the spring. Look at clearly I need to reread when I do things, and this is how my last few weeks have been, but that's a whole different story. So you can see our language arts data. We're right where our projected growth should be on most grade levels, so we're getting there. These are the standards that we follow. So when we look at a score such as we'll look at our, what grade is that? Second grade. Our standard our median score for our second grade is 166. So if I go to this and I look at the reading student achievement norms, I would find second grade and go kind of across and find out where, what the fall score for second grade should be. I see it's 172.35. We're a little bit below that, so our average student is kind of functioning around the winter spring of a standard first grade student right now. So we're still in that catching up phase. We're okay though. We're making gains, and we have so many fantastic things planned here in our district, and so many new programs up and running, and looking at more things coming in the future that I am very excited about the things that we have coming to Redford Union here in the next few years. We also have to remember that some of our data, because we shifted kids around too, so they're now in a different building and they're all taking tests in a different place this fall, so we have to remember some of those things. We had a little delay on getting our equipment to the Hilbert building, so we were kind of struggling there, but we should be good to go for the rest of the year. We're happy to report all of their Chromebooks have been delivered and distributed at Hilbert, so that's a bonus. We still are waiting on some carts for the junior high and high school, but they have devices there that they're able to use. So this is just kind of an overview of how to read the data. So this is a little historical background, and I have shared this with you all before, but I just left it in here so that people who are new to the board. This is our fall to spring testing for each of the school years, and this goes back to 2012. I don't even know if I have it back that far anymore because I was running out of space. So it starts at 2015, actually. See, seriously, I really need to do some proofreading. Goodness sake, sorry about this. So we can see that all of our grades over the years, this is, you know, kind of a typical what you should see. Our lower grades are gonna be a little lower and our upper grades should be high. We know that in 2021, we had some challenges with some kids being here, some kids being remote, so we weren't all together, so our test scores are a little skewed from that little area, and now we're kind of rebuilding back up. Oh gosh, I have been recording this on here. I'm sorry on the recording here. And this is our language arts by year. Same kind of thing that you saw with the math. Same data here for the but I do have the 23-24 school year started on here, so I was close on getting something right on here. This is our cohorts by year, so this is our senior class of 24. This is their fall test scores over the course of their time with us here at Redford Union. So you can see that we have, you know, made those gains every year. Same for our juniors, sophomores. I mean, every grade is building and everyone's learning. But we do know that we're kind of stuck at a plateau, and we've looked at that as a district, and we know that we need to bump some things up, which is why we have our Panther Time, which is why we have, you know, programs being developed and implemented in our elementary schools and in our junior high. So we are looking at those data pieces and making sure that we have a plan. Here's our 9th grade, 8th grade, 7th grade. This is Beach and Hilbert combined rather than, because we really don't have the data from both at this time because we just squished them all together. So this is both of them combined. And then there is the lower grades. This is our language arts again. Oh, I missed numbers. Oh my gosh, there's something. Just keep going. 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. So last year when I presented this, or in the spring I think when I presented this actually, I was asked how many kids took the test versus how many made growth. I obviously can't do that for the fall because we're just starting, so there isn't any way to show you what the growth is going to be until the end of the year. So we'll come back and show you that, how many kids took the test in the fall and then how many grew from there. So that's those years, that's math and reading. And then this is what I was talking about, kind of our plateau here on the grades. We really want to kind of bump these scores up just a little bit here and get a little closer to that proficiency level, which will then in turn help with our M-STEP data and move some of that up a little bit more. There's our reading scores. And so similar to what our plan was when I presented this in the spring, but we have started the implementation of our MTSS district plan. We are continuing on building curriculum maps. We have teacher leaders in all the buildings that are working on building these maps with us. Mr. Norton's working hard to get those things done. Out of those curriculum maps, we will also be cleaning up some of that linear and vertical alignment across the district. And we have already been diving into professional development for a lot of the programs that we are using. We're looking at the programs that we're using to decide, is this still what we need to be using? Is there something more we should be adding? Something we're using, we have that we're paying for that we don't need to be using because we're not using it effectively. So those things are all going on at this time, and we are busy every day. So that is what I have on that. I was going to add the M-STEP data, but this calendar is not coming, so I will get that to you guys next month too, because that was just released recently. So I will get an M-STEP specific presentation together for you for next month. I'll have Mr. Norton help me with that so that we can make sure that we have all of that data for you guys coming up in December. It's a lot of data. It's a lot of clicking and.
Thank you,
clicking and
Mrs. Crenshaw. I hear you, Mr. Bailey. Give me one moment. You know, this is data that we all get, and we always have to take a little bit of time to dive into. So I would encourage everyone to do that and then direct questions. Mr. Bailey.
Ms. Crenshaw,
Yes, Mr. Bailey.
on this historical data
Mhm.
from 2015, 2024, which of the years are you pointing out as the COVID years?
That would be, we took the fall test only in 1920, and then, no.
1920, we were not here.
1920, right, we only took the fall test. Right, the 2020 school year. Sorry, I'm trying to talk fast because I see we have a lot more to get through. In the
1920,
school year,
a long time ago.
2019 to 2020, we only took the fall test, so there was no spring test given. In the 2020-2021 school year, we took the test in the fall at home. A lot of our students were still virtual, so we took the fall test at home. And then in the spring, we had kids here, but we really, I don't think we had a good representation of our students because some people were coming and some people weren't. So those 2 years, we have data, but how good it is, we will never know because it was a time.
Yeah.
It was a time.
So 2019 to 2020, 2020, 2021.
Right, correct. Those are the COVID years, yeah.
And fall of 2021 as we were coming back was very
Yeah, we still had a lot of we still had absences, but we had a lot of absences still then.
later.
A lot of kids registering late.
Registration at the start of school.
So I'm hoping that we are kind of hitting a plateau there and that we have kids coming, I think, more on a regular basis and all of that thing, so. That's all I have for today. I apologize. I'm trying to maneuver the new equipment and pay attention, so
Yeah.
I'm trying my best.
So I just want to say to our teachers and our administrators and the people who are in there every day that we have growth coming out of a pandemic is outstanding. And that we're meeting some of those growth thresholds that we, are expecting. So well done with that work. Moving on. Consent agenda. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items as presented? Moved by Mr. Osowski. Is there seconded? Seconded by Ms. Miller. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say yes. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, action items. Special consideration, non-consent agenda action items. 2021 capital bond change order request sanitary pipe reroute. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Mike Beltink, Chief Financial Officer, and Jason Witt, Superintendent, approve the change order request regarding the existing sanitary pipe reroute proposal adjacent to the new Main Street addition at Redford Union High School in the amount of $124,320.19. Moved by Mr. Osowski. Is there support? Seconded by Ms. Miller. Is there any discussion?
The chair,
Mr. Bailey?
I have posted a question about the drawings from the last meeting indicated that the root of the sewer line went under the pool. So I would think that that'd be the reason why it was 17 feet deep into the ground. Is that correct?
That's generally my understanding.
So if we no longer have the pool and we're putting a new roof for it outside the wall of the building, why would it still have to go 17 feet deep?
So there are additional needs outside of just the discharge need that were at that site.
Like what?
Could we, just for the record, could you just state who you are and where you're from? Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, my name is Jake Ensley. I'm a small building decker and civil engineer.
Jake's part of our team, but he's not here as regularly as some of the others, so I just wanted to make sure the full board knew who Jake was representing.
So I do not know what it picks up in the building. I just know there are existing needs from old current site plans that enter that business.
essentially we have to not only, I guess the existing pool discharge line is still connected in that manhole, but there are other leads from the building that are being picked up and then, and that's essentially why it has to match that existing.
So there's other leads coming from the building other than the old map for the route went under the boys' bathroom, underneath the pool, and then outside. You're saying there's other
Yeah.
discharges from that building at 17 feet?
Correct, yes, entering from the south side of the manhole.
And so we basically have to meet what's, everything else is either 17 feet or lower, and so we can't go up, right? So we have to, because the water, sewer won't flow up, so we have to go down as far as where the existing pipes are, correct? That's why. I'm glad I asked that question to Mr. Osowski, and he explained it to me today. Now I look like I'm smart.
And then just, Mr. Bailey, you also had a second question that you posed to me regarding the impact that this could have on the existing structure of the building.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wood.
Did you want to pose that?
Yes. So going 17 feet outside the building, and I didn't see how many feet actually it was away from the foundation, but it looked close. Is that going to cause a problem with the foundation shifting?
It should not, for a couple of reasons. One, I did take the measurement, it's about 35 feet away from the existing building wall. So that, coupled with the fact that the native subgrade soils are hard clay and not necessarily a all sand soil, they should be able to trench the pipe in and the subgrade soil will stay in place. There may be, I know there's a little bit of fill of sand up top, at the top of the existing grade, but for the most part, once you get below that, it's all perfect. So being so far away from the building walls, plus trenching into that type of material, I would say there's really no concern with the impact of this location.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? All right, hearing none, this requires a roll call vote. Mr. Bailey?
Yep.
Ms. Dean? Ms. Martin is absent. Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski? Mr. Osowski abstains. The chair votes yes. Motion carries 5-0. All right, moving on. Cell tower rental agreement revision. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Mike Belting, Chief Financial Officer, and Jason Witt, Superintendent, authorize the district to enter into a revised long-term cell tower rental agreement with SBA at Hilbert Elementary. This agreement would provide the district with a lump sum payment of $750,000 in lieu of monthly payments over the life of the contract. The district and the SBA are currently operating under an agreement for the Hilbert Cell Tower that was signed in 2003. Moved by Mr. Osowski, seconded by Ms. Miller. Is there any discussion? Mr. Bailey?
So I'm seeing a trend here in where we're not doing the due diligence that we need to do for the responsibilities that we have. The agreement was October 6th. At the following meeting, I believe it was, we were to vote on an agreement where we would get $750,000. The company was looking for perpetual easement on the property in the center of that acreage, which would sort of bind our hands for future use of the property. And there was a question at the one of the previous meetings about the microwave transmission, and automatically we went with a company to find out the actual readings. Cost us $500 or so. But as far as I know, we didn't go through any consultation at all for people that are knowledgeable about cell tower rental agreements. It seems like we're, for something as important as this, we're sort of cutting short on getting input from it.
So, Mr. Bailey, I would respectfully disagree. We ask for those readings, and instead of just taking the EPA readings, Mr. Tomasitis went out and got an independent, no skin in the game company to come in and give us those readings to assure that those towers were safe. We have discussed this financial situation. This would now be the third time. I don't know that we needed a consultant to tell us whether or not this is a valid contract or to advise us on a contract. I would trust that the attorneys who negotiated this contract 20 years ago took care of that. So I don't believe that we haven't done due diligence. We've actually almost kind of beat this to death. That's just my opinion on that.
The chair.
Mr. Bailey.
So when I brought up the fact that we hired a company to come in and look at the microwave transmission, that was as an example. We're willing to do that. Something that costs $750, or where it's on the table, $750,000. We're not willing to get input from it. Now, I did look at cell tower agreements that Redford Township has for the cell towers. It has control over. We get on our current agreement a 3% increase every 5 years, and it's so much per month. Whereas by having a consultant, Redford Township was able to get a lump sum just to do the negotiation of $100 and some thousand. They get 3% every year increase, and then they get that monthly payment. In addition to that, for any leases that are on that tower, they get a percentage. And they even have it so that any future leases on that tower, they get a different amount. Now, these are people who are knowledgeable about what the business of cell towers are like. I can almost guarantee you, reading the original agreement, there was no input from somebody that had cell tower knowledge. So what I'm advocating for is, before we jump into this, is we get somebody who knows what the heck they're doing to advise us.
Okay, so noted. I am, for one, am not interested in honestly, $750,000 versus isn't it $30,000 a year, Mr. Beltink? I mean, we've looked at the financial benefits of this currently and over the next 20 years or however many years it is. I don't know why we need to continue. But we've already tried to negotiate a better deal with this company, and they have said $750,000 is their best offer, as Mr. Beltink indicated originally. The reality is this: it's either $30,000 a year until the contract expires, or $750,000. So, in my mind, why wouldn't we take the $750,000? That's, while I get what you're saying, we're not going to get any more money out of it, no matter what we spend in consulting.
How do you know?
Because they've already told us this is their best offer.
Again, how do you know?
Because I trust my CFO when he tells me that he tried to get us more money and they said that this is their best offer. I trust that he has done the best thing for this district financially. That is how I know.
So, in the 1990s, we had TVs in each of our classrooms. And we got like $10,000, I think it was, in order to the kids to see advertisement through the whole day. We jumped at that. That's an example. What I'm saying is, maybe because of the fiduciary relationship we have with the community, we need to go through this with a little bit more care.
Okay.
Nobody here on this board has cell tower experience or what the current market has.
Okay, so noted. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. This requires a roll call vote. Mr. Bailey?
No.
Ms. Dean? Ms. Martin is absent. Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Morris? Mr. Osowski?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. This motion carries 4-2. Okay, number 3, amendment to the Board of Education meeting schedule. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education adopt the amended meeting schedule that reflects a change to the regular board meeting start time to 5:30 p.m. beginning January 16th, 2024? This recommendation was made to accommodate the schedules of board members, staff, and community members, and to ensure that meetings are held at a convenient time for all participants.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Miller. Is there support? Seconded by Mr. Osowski. Is there any discussion? I will just have you note that the amended calendar is in our packet with the changes highlighted in yellow. Hearing no further discussion, this requires a roll call vote. Mr. Bailey? Yes. Mrs. Dean? Yes. Ms. Martin is absent. Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski? The chair votes yes. Motion carries.
And we will get that amended calendar posted.
Thank you. Moving on. Number 4. I promise we're getting closer. Redford Union Schools, epinephrine auto-injectors or EpiPens and opioid antagonist policy, second reading. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education have the second reading of the Redford Union EpiPen auto-injectors and opioid antagonist policies as presented? Moved by Mr. Osowski. Is there support? Support by Ms. Miller. Is there any discussion? I just note, Jackie, that it should say have the second reading, not the first reading. Hearing none, this requires a roll call vote. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean? Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski? The chair votes yes. Motion carries. All right, item 5, the pool, Western Michigan Health Insurance Pool. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education adopt the resolution authorizing public entity membership in the Western Michigan Health Insurance Pool, also known as the pool, for a minimum of a 3-year period? This medical insurance coverage will be for the exempt group of staff members and district administrators within the RUAA positions, effective January 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Osowski. Is there support?
Support.
Yes.
Second by Ms. Miller. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion carries. All right. There were no items removed from the consent agenda. All right, call to the audience, public participation regarding non-agenda items. So I will reiterate that if you wish to speak to the board, I need you to make sure you have filled out a form and either put it back in the envelope or you can just hand them up. Oh, and you are limited to 3 minutes, and please keep all comments respectful, and the board traditionally does not respond because if we do, we'll be here all night. Oh, okay, I am being asked for a 5-minute recess. So we will take a 5-minute recess and come back at 6:50.
I was hungry. I needed something.
I don't think so. Thanks for, yeah, this could go a while. Thanks for like standing back there in the corner and hanging out. We appreciate you. I know, right? Have a good Thanksgiving. Thanks.
Okay. I was getting hungry. I didn't know.
I know, right?
I'm like, okay.
There was a 5-minute,
Yeah.
so that's what I prepared for.
Oh, okay.
Is it okay?
That's
I'll
fine.
read really fast. It's all written down, so I'm not gonna wander around.
That's fine, yeah.
Okay, that'll give us a little more time at 5:30. That sounds.
Yeah, yeah, I know that it's been a struggle for a couple of people to get home at 5. And so,
Yeah, a
you know,
little
that's why
rush because I had to go get dinner. I said by the time I leave, I'm ready to go home, take a shower, and relax.
I know, right?
So-
I didn't know what to, I'm never off on Monday, but my husband had a doctor's appointment today, so I didn't know what to do with All right. All right. Oh, don't be falling one? All right. So, I will call you up. I will ask that you state your name and address for the record, and then the purpose of your visit. Linda Kick.
Hi, Linda Kick. I work with food service. I'm over at the secondary campus. I'm here for a few different things, raise, sick pay, blah, blah, blah. I'll get to it. Yes, I'm back. I'm back because some of us were fine with our dollar raise, some of us weren't. We're asking the board to consider giving us the second dollar that we asked for in August. To put the dollar raise in perspective, the women working 4 hours a day will earn $4 extra a day, or $20 a week before taxes. Work 5 hours a day and you earn $5 extra a day, 25 a week before taxes. In 2023, that really isn't going to make that much of a difference in someone's budget. I know our wage of $14 is comparable to the wages of private food companies in neighboring districts, but that doesn't make it right to lowball us because that's what our neighbors are doing. We are also hoping that $15 an hour might put us in a better position to compete with the wages offered by the food and retail businesses. Though for the amount of work we do compared to those businesses, even $15 an hour won't be all that attractive to young people, especially once they understand the workload. And no one knows how hard we work, especially at the secondary campus. Not Angie Davis, not Pam Scheffler. Only the managers and the workers know how hard we all work. We feel we have no advocate. No one has our back, especially when it's time to pay us what we deserve. And next year, or whenever the addition is done, will be harder. We've been told that the high school cafeteria is not close to the kitchen. That means that all the hot food will have to be put in hot carts and pushed to the cafeteria. Then leftover food in dirty pans will have to be loaded in the cart and pushed back to the kitchen. This will also need to be done with the cold food, salads, sandwiches, fruits, and veggies. More work, harder work. Who's going to advocate for fair compensation for this added work? No one is. So I'm asking for that second dollar now. You just can't keep saying it's part of the job. Eventually, too much work becomes too much work for any age. You want some perspective on our workload at the secondary campus? I suggest you spend a shift observing us, preferably on a Tuesday or Thursday when we get stocked for 2 schools. Frozen, cold, and dry needs to be put away on top of our daily jobs twice a week. This will give you some insight as to what it's going to take to replace us as some retire, leave to seek better pay, or leave because the job is too hard. What's frustrating is the reluctance to pay women a fair and respectful wage in 2023. Sadly, you could force some of us women who love these kids and their jobs into the private workforce. No private company employees are going to care about these kids in the buildings like we do. 4 of us still volunteer at sports events working the ticket gate and concessions for free. We do this because we're invested in this district and these kids. Now the district needs to invest in us and any future kitchen crews. Next, we were told that we will not be paid for the tragedy that happened in the secondary campus Thursday. Where does the unpaid wages go? And why is the school district profiting off of that tragedy? I don't understand that. We are all innocent victims of that crime. Do you really think it's moral or ethical to dock us our pay while the district profits from it? That is so wrong. Please reconsider that. Next, paid sick time for EduStaff food service employees. Are we eligible? In February 2023, the Michigan Sick Time Law Formula states that an employer shall provide paid sick time to each of the eligible employees in the state of Michigan. Maybe Mike can help out. I could only find 2 criteria that makes an employer employee eligible. Employee must work 25 weeks out of the year or 130 hours. Number two, the employer has at least 10 to 50 employees. Are we eligible for that? We meet this criteria, or are there other criteria I haven't found yet? Okay, so maybe you can talk to us about that.
That would have to be with staff.
Who? EduStaff? Okay.
Yeah, they're required to provide you 1 hour of sick pay for every 31 hours that you work.
35 hours.
Okay.
So-
I knew it was like something
so
like that,
yes,
'cause
that's what we need to
that's state
find
law.
out. But is that in their budget?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter if it's
budget or
in their
not.
budget.
So I would talk to somebody at EduStaff to find out if we're eligible. Okay. Next, we really don't understand the food budget at all. We have bonuses last year if we didn't miss work for the last semester. This year, it's a $500 bonus for taking and passing a ServSafe class. We don't understand what's going on with bonuses, overages, our pay. So if there's maybe some written information we can get to try to understand what that's all about. Okay, so that's it. Again, no matter the outcome of this meeting, we appreciate and we are so grateful for all the time that you put into our district and these kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. King. Patricia Bathwell,
I am here to support, I would prefer that.
you want your student to speak?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, did you fill out, okay. Okay, we will go on to the next one. William, I'm sorry, William, I don't know your last name.
Harold.
Oh, come on forward.
I don't know if I can speak first or. You know, I can wait to speak a little bit.
Okay, all right. What's your name? Come on up. Oh, yeah, I see you. Okay. And first, let me say, I am really proud of our students who have shown up to speak because your voice is important to us. So, go ahead.
Hello, board and everyone else in the room. My name is Ashmarie Johnson, and I, hopefully by the end of this meeting, I will not be a former coach of the cheer team and a former employee, but that is what I was. So I can't stress how many times I rewrote this speech, what I wanted to say tonight. And it wasn't until probably until my girls, my parents, the support that I had that made me say, scratch the paper, let me bring out the book. Okay, so I started this book maybe a while ago, and it just kind of walks you through my time, my experiences here at Redford Union, what I've given back to the community, and how I've grown myself. So, if you do not know, I graduated from Redford Union in 2017. I'm an alumni of Hilbert and Redford Union. I was in everything. Like you said, Alicia, I was in Women of Tomorrow. I was in student government. I was in cheer. I was in National Honor Society, student council. Anything they had, you can name it, I was probably in it. I also gave back. I had an Autism 5K color run that on behalf of Redford Union, I donated those funds at 17 years old, just over a little bit over $1,200. So it's a lot of stuff that I've done for this district, and it doesn't stop there. I started coaching cheer when I was in high school. So I did Beach Elementary. I started off with Beach Elementary, awesome, amazing. And then I came over to Hilbert, and we have just had an amazing time. Camps, we've had tumble camps, we've had new uniforms, everything. Everybody takes a picture of my phone, so you might see a personal picture. Then I was recruited onto the high school this past football season, so that's where this starts at. We went on our first field trip. We had our first away game. Just creating a lot of good memories and giving back. But then, as you can see, It's blank. It's blank. And that's what I want to talk to you, everybody, about today. On October 13th, you probably could have asked me would I be here today, and I would have told you absolutely not, having this speech with everybody. Is not the word. I am still a dedicated educator at this district. I would love to be. I put a lot of time and effort into what I do for this district. I put a little bit more effort and time into this district because I came from this district, and I want a lot to happen for the students that I come in contact with. It was on approximately October 12th that I discovered some research based upon the book that we were given to read. I want to say about October 1st, and it's very shocking. I didn't know that everybody needed a copy, so I only printed out one copy of this, and if anybody, can I pass it around, or do I just read it out?
If you just, when you're done with it, you can share us
Absolutely.
the
You just
copy.
read it and then-
we can circulate.
Sure
what we
thing.
have.
I appreciate that. On October 13th, I went in and for a meeting, and I thought who I trusted to confidently tell this information to and to do something about it to help not only me, the 90% of the African American students that we have in the board, I mean, and not in the board, in the district. It really hurted me to get the feedback that I was given. I said simply, hey, this book kind of goes against me, my morals, my values, what I want to teach. I don't really want to spoon feed this information to kids that I actually care about. You know, I want to above and beyond to decorate these classrooms and give more than what I had back. Me and another professor talked about it, and we found out the research a little bit farther into these books. I don't know if everybody heard about the book, and then there were none. But the original title of the book really kind of hit me, you know, it made me tear up. And I told y'all, I care about these kids, I care about this district, the kids to come, the kids that were here before. So reading this book, you know, it did something to me, y'all. So I told admin, I was immediately kind of shot down, you know, we thought you could bridge the gap. You could create a positive message, which there is no positive message for this book, but that was the conversation. After that, I was immediately kind of terminated from employment there, excluded from the district, and now I'm not a coach anymore for the district. So that's my spiel. I'm hoping that the school board can reconsider that option. We just started our season. We have our first game in 2 days at Hilbert, and I am deeply affected by it. My family is deeply affected by it. My cheerleaders are deeply affected by it. My staff with the cheer team is deeply